Nobody teaches us this, but sometimes being broke is not about how much money you have. It's about the habits that you've normalized. So y'all, this video is to tell you all about the habits that we have made as a normal habit that really keeping us broke. The first thing is living without a budget. People think that a budget keeps you restricted. A budget doesn't keep you restricted. A budget keeps you knowing exactly where your money is. It is your roadmap, it's your guideline, it's your GPS, it's your navigation system through life. Honestly, I feel more free and have gained more freedom in my life when I learned how to budget and when I learned how to budget right. So initially learning how to budget, it is a muscle. It's just like going in the workout and you ain't worked out in years. If you go to do an exercise, if you go into the gym and you going to do this and everything aching, everything hurting, when you wake up the next morning, you in pain, you stiff, and you like, I ain't even want to touch that again. No. A budget is going to be the same way. It's going to be hard. But the minute I not only started using a budget, but learned how to use my budget in a way where I could live with it, truly learning how I spend my money, truly learning where my money went, truly recording when I spent money outside my budget, truly saying no to things that weren't in my budget, y'all, I became so much more free. So if you don't know my story, I have worked as an HR professional for the last 15 years. And in December 2024, I took an early buyout where I decided to resign and take a severance package knowing I needed to find a new job before that severance package ended. It was supposed to be 6 months that I worked from home or just was at home living on this severance. It was a 6 month severance package. And I was unemployed for a year. Then I found a new job a year later, worked there for 6 months only to get laid off again. And when I tell you my budget made it where each time it wasn't as stressful because I no longer was living paycheck to paycheck. I had money and savings because I budgeted for money and savings. I really created a system where I was forced to save because saving for me used to be like, let me look at this account. Oh yeah, let me transfer this over. No, I realized that having two different savings accounts was helpful. I had one tied and still do have one tied to my checking account at that bank where I can transfer money back and forth. That's my emergency fund. I always try my hardest to make sure I have at least $1,000 in there. If something should go wrong, I need a new tire. I realized that I went over budget. I realized that something didn't quite work out financially. I would transfer money from that account. My next paycheck, I put that money right back. And then I also have a second savings account at a whole different bank that only open Monday through Friday. I don't have an ATM card for it. I don't have a debit card for it. The only way I know what money is in there is if I log in online. I do not get statements for that account or anything. I make it where before I take money out of that account, I gotta think about it. But I only got there because I learned how to live within a budget. And that budget wasn't restrictive, it was freeing. Now I knew exactly how much my bill should be when things were over. Child, I'm calling on the phone to be like, hey, my bill's too high this month. Even if it's just $20. And guess what? So often I find myself getting that money right back because I paid attention and I called. Another thing is I was able to pay off debt way quicker. Instead of me just going with the flow and living life, I was literally able to be like, this is how much I'm putting on this credit card. Even though this minimum payment might be $67, I'm gonna go ahead and put $200 on it. And before you know it, you pay it off, You're paying less interest. You have one less bill to pay once you pay that card off. It was just so much more freeing. And that's something that I want you to know you absolutely need to do. Live within a budget. List out where all your income coming from. List out where all your expenses are going. Sometimes it's helpful to get started with this. If you look back at your spending for the last 30 or 60 days, now this can help you predict what it should look like for this month and the next month and the next month. You're gonna go through seasons in life. You're gonna go through graduation season. You can go through baby season. You're gonna go through holiday season. It's summertime. You actually wanna do stuff outside your budget, but if you plan that into your budget, that will make life so much easier because now it's not a surprise, it's something that you're managing. While unemployed, I went to Africa. People are like, well, she must be good because, you know, she could go all the way to Africa. No, I budget for it ahead of time. I paid for it ahead of time. I planned for that trip and all of that was in my budget. The second time I got laid off, I told them I was going to Paris. I can tell my boss got a little jealous in her skin, you know what I'm saying? Because I guess I ain't look like the person who's supposed to be going to Paris. But I had already budgeted for Paris, paid for Paris ahead of time. So when I come back that Monday from Paris and get laid off, I ain't anxious like, oh my God, how you gonna pay this out? Because I got money in savings, my bills are caught up. Yeah, I ain't where I wanna be, but this budget is helping me to regulate my nervous system, so I'm not reacting. I'm just thinking, okay, what's my next move to continue this growth? The next money habit that we're doing is going into a job and accepting any job because we got a job offer. No, you need to already have that budget so you know the minimum amount that you're actually going to accept. But Timeka, we don't always know the salary. Like, how do we know? It's going to be posted. A lot of jobs have them posted at the bottom of the job description. So scroll down there. Don't look at the top, because so many of these job platforms have like estimates of what they think that salary should be at the top. So it's not always from the employer. Look in the job description at the bottom. Most times it should be there. If not, stay within a job category. When you're just applying to any and everything, you don't know what it's paying. But if you know, okay, I'm applying to this particular role at different companies, you kind of know what it's going to be. And if you don't know, that on my blog, I also have tons of links on how you can do salary research and know exactly what a salary should be in your area and for that job. But anyhow, we ain't talking about that. Let's get back to the money habits that we are doing that's keeping us broke. Now, this one might not seem like a money habit, but it is. Not voting or knowing at least the basics about politics. And y'all, if this ain't hitting home right now with the presidential administration that we have right now, I don't know when it's gonna hit. Because you might notice that we wasn't talking about money as much. Prices of everyday expenses, gas, groceries, lumber, those things weren't as expensive before. And best believe that's because of the political climate that we're in. Don't wait just for a presidential election to vote. Vote for your local elections, because they determine how your HOA may be able to move. They determine how much your taxes may be. They may be determining where your taxes go. They may be determining how much is trash pickup. Now you paying for trash pickup for some extra thing that you don't even want. But if you know something about politics and you know something about those political candidates, your vote matters, and now you can relax that nervous system because you know you did your part in making sure you put the right person in place that's going to create a life that you can afford. Crazy enough, even our political elections determines who's going to help us change what minimum wage should be for a state. Right now, I live in South Carolina where our minimum wage is like, is anybody even talking about it? Because I don't know what $7 and some change is supposed to do for anybody. I mean, I've heard people be like, oh, it went up to $12. But even, let's say our minimum wage was at $12. Who's supposed to live off of that when it's going to take you $5 a gallon just to fill up your car? When milk itself is already costing $4 and $5 for a gallon. Child, if you want to help manage your money in some type of way, please manage your political climate. Manage what areas you live in under which political leaders, because all of that determines how much your taxes is, where your paycheck going, what all coming up last minute, and what's included with what you already paid. The next money habit that we're doing that's keeping us broke is living without a savings account. Listen, you do not have to be rich or make a lot of money to have savings. You ain't got to save a lot in order to have savings. Now, your goal should always be to have a minimum of $1,000 in a savings account. That should always be your minimum. I got to borrow money out, I'm going to put it right back in. What I did for myself, because I know I'm not good being a good saver. I know I don't have an accountability partner. I know that I'm living this life alone and I got to live for me. I know that I'm an empty nester, and if things go wrong, I'm a tank by myself. So I help myself by any job I go on to, or any income that I get that's automatic. I have a certain amount that goes directly to my savings. And back in the day, when I was making like $40,000, $50,000, I literally had $20 a paycheck. Again, it's going to go directly there, because if you ask me to move it, I ain't that good. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got some friends who really are that good. I'm not that person. I'm not gonna move that money. I'm gonna move it last minute. You really should be paying yourself first, paying the Lord second. Don't even get me into tithing. You actually want to make sure that you are saving money somehow, because now you don't have to go borrow from somebody and figure out how you're gonna pay them back. You don't have to use that credit card where you only got $100 before you max it out. Now your credit score is horrible. Now every interest rate you get is gonna be bad. You literally can say, okay, I'm gonna borrow this money from myself and pay it back. The next thing I did to make sure, back in the day when I was buying my house, to make sure I kept at least $1,000 in that account, was I side hustle. I side hustle my ass off. And I didn't side hustle by changing or exchanging a bunch of time. No, I didn't apply for jobs or anything like that. I decided I wanted to sell a lot of things out of my townhome, because I wanted to buy new furniture for my house. So I started just making that furniture better. If something was broken on it, I fixed it, sold it on Facebook Marketplace. I lived right in front of the trash dump at my old apartment complex. I noticed people were throwing away good stuff. I went over, brought it into my house. I may repaint it. I may put that screw in with something shaking, jazz it up, make it look real cute, put it on Facebook Marketplace and make money. As a result, my best friend noticed I was doing that, and we were laughing about how I was making this money off of nothing. And she lived in an apartment complex. Every time somebody would move out, she'd be like, Mika, there's new furniture out here. I would either go to her house and pick it up, or she'd bring it to me. I would rehab it the best way I can, make it look amazing, put it on Facebook Marketplace, sell it. That's how I got to making sure not only did I have $1,000 in savings, but that I kept it. So you can do any little side hustle. If that's babysitting, if that's Uber Eats, DoorDash, if that is pet sitting, if that's cutting somebody grass, if that's doing somebody hair, if that's doing somebody nails, if that's writing somebody paper, if that's helping somebody with their resume. These are all things that I've done, besides the dog one and cutting grass. But majorities of things that I did so that I can make sure I had money into savings at all times. When I got into a crunch, instead of swiping my credit card, knowing it was gonna mess me up for moving into my first home, I just pull it out of my savings and put it back. One time, my phone completely died. It just wasn't working anymore because I am a person that's gonna use my phone till it literally dies. And I needed a new phone because it was just not even letting me make calls, and I had needed $300 something to get a new phone. I drove onto my savings account, I got it out of there, and when I got paid again or I did the next side hustle, I put that money right back. Able to get my phone same day. I had to borrow from nobody. I didn't have to go get no money. I didn't have to get a high interest loan, anything. And I was still able to move into my house. So make sure that you start living with some type of savings on the side. Living without savings sounds crazy to me, even if you live by yourself. So that leads me into the next thing, high interest rates. We are so happy that we got approved for that credit card, that loan, that car, that house, that whatever, that we just happy we got it and we don't look at the interest rate. 20% or less is a pretty decent interest rate. You always want to stay below that. And I will tell you, my friend ChatGPT is the best about interest rates, because I was looking at getting a loan and I talked that thing through with Chat. It told me all the little loan terms and agreements that I would not have paid attention to or that they would not have highlighted. It turned out that I did not get that loan, and I was able to still pay down $10,000 in debt within 5 months after being unemployed for a full year. So ChatGPT really helped me out. I put my budget in there. I put my debt payoff plan in there. I tell it what I want to do. I ask it to give me a plan, and it does. So when I went to say, okay, I'm gonna get this high interest rate, I already used Chat enough about my finances that Chat knew this was not the angle for me. And Chat walked me right on through that, even while I was on the phone with the loan person. The best thing that saved me was not only the interest rate, but the fact that they thought I should have a cosigner. I have not ever had a cosigner for anything in my life. Everything I paid for myself. So that was alarming to me. So make sure that you pay attention to those interest rates, because Chat can tell you what's a good interest rate versus a bad interest rate. Interest rate can literally be money going in that you never touch. You'll feel like,
man, I got too many bills. This is too much for me. Why are my bills so high every month?
And really, when you look at paying back that credit card, that loan, majority of the money is going to the interest rate, none to the loan. That's why it's taking you forever to pay that off. So paying attention to them interest rates is important, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. This car, Goose Creek Mitsubishi, they're always selling cars, and they talk about how they approve everybody. I was listening to somebody talk about them going to buy a car there, and when they started telling me about the interest rates and how many times they hit their credit and the process, I was like,
girl, you ain't need that car.
because they just approving any and everybody, and they making you take on the hard part, which is taking forever to pay off this car. The next thing is ignoring your health. When you ignore your health, now you wake up tired. You don't really feel like doing that side hustle. You don't really feel like staying into your regimen. You don't really feel like looking at that budget. You don't really feel like going to the gas station that's cheaper to get gas. You don't really feel like going to your ATM to get money out. You go to the ATM that's gonna charge you extra money. Make sure you take care of your health. Get a good night's sleep. Drink a lot of water. Make sure that you are checking your blood pressure. If you got medications you should take, make sure you take it. Take your vitamins daily. Taking my vitamins daily really helps me. I love Black Girl vitamins. I take it at night because it helps me with two things, and make sure that I remember to take it, and they're so sweet. I feel like I'm eating candy and that gives me my sweet urge for the night, so I don't go eat something sweet before I go to bed. But make sure to pay attention to your health. Absolutely. And just so you know, when you pay attention to your health, taking care of preventative care is way cheaper than taking care of stuff that's already been neglected. I have people that will go to the doctor for every little thing. When you know your health, you don't have to go for every little thing. People say, what
What did Obama do? I don't know what he did while he was in seat.
well, one good damn thing he did was he made it where preventative care visits are free and included with your insurance. Y'all know before we used to pay for preventative care. Preventative care is so much cheaper. One thing that can help you see the difference is if you look at your dental plan that comes from your job, you look at the preventative, it's usually 100%. Everything else, you had to pay 50% or 75%. Those are the things that have been neglected. So that doesn't work just that way for dental care. It works that way for all of your health care. When you're going for just your annual visits just to check up on something, that's not gonna cost you anything. But when you gotta do a follow-up because you got this problem, that problem, now you're paying out of pocket. So pay attention to your health, because that's money you wasting. You probably get medication you don't need, medication that you probably can manipulate your health to